Welcome back to the Small College Basketball Podcast, celebrating the players, the programs, the coaches, and the history of small college basketball. Small College Basketball would like to thank Visit Central Florida for their support of the Small College Basketball Podcast and the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame Classic. Start planning your Central Florida vacation now at visitcentralflorida.com. Again, visitcentralflorida.com. Go Play Sports. Small College Basketball would also like to thank our newest sponsor, Go Play Sports. Join Go Play as they explore new destinations, connect with passionate players and coaches, and uncover what makes Go Play Sports an unforgettable journey both on and off the basketball court. Whether you're looking to help your players grow on the court or develop off the court, or you simply want to explore new sites, we can arrange a basketball tour tailored to your team's unique needs. Go Play is a passport to the ultimate basketball adventure. Let's tip off. Visit www.goplaysports.com. As a reminder, you can listen to all of our podcast episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcast. If you're a returning listener, please write us a nice review and a 5-star rating. The video edition of the podcast is available on the Small College Basketball YouTube channel, and you can also find all of our links in today's show notes or at smallcollegebasketball.com. Today, you are listening to a replay featuring our Small College Basketball Summer Education Series. Today's episode features a presentation from 3 times national champion and 2-time Conference Carolinas Coach of the Year, T.J. Rosene from NCAA Division II Emmanuel College. Coach Rosene was the first presenter in our 3-part summer education series of small college basketball coaches from across the country presenting offensive, defensive, and cultural philosophies that drive their success. Today's episode is a replay of Coach Rosene presenting the 5 pillars of leading a successful team. Enjoy this replay from the Small College Basketball Summer Series.
How about that? Can you see that or no?
Yeah, that works great. I
Yeah.
think everybody can see that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, so this is our first time ever doing a live Zoom for the Small College Basketball Podcast. We are going to record this and put it up on the website so coaches will have access to it. We're going to put it on the podcast here by the end of the week. We're going to do 3 of these this summer. And Coach Rosene, nice enough to get us started off. Emmanuel College, NCAA Division II. As you can see, talking about the 5 pillars to leading a successful team. Coach, you need no introduction if anyone on the pod or on the call tonight has listened to the Hardwood Hoops or is involved with PGC, know how good you are. 2-time Conference Carolinas Coach of the Year. Had a great run 2021 into the NCAA Division II Sweet 16. So really excited about what you can give to the coaches here tonight, what you can give to the coaches when they log on and check it out on the Small College Basketball website. We'll give it another minute, and then I'll turn it over to you in just a minute.
Yeah, sounds good. Just let me know when you want me to roll. Are we allowed to do Q&A on here too? Like able to kind of talk back and forth with coaches, or do I need
Yeah,
to?
absolutely. I'm going to have the chat open, and as you get to all of your different points, if I notice something we want to hit on or a question we want to hit on, feel free to ask, and I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, sweet. You just tell me when to get started.
Cool.
Coach Rosene, I just want to make a quick comment, two quick comments. Number one, thanks so much for doing this. It's great to have you on, my friend. Good to see you again. Second comment is thanks for wearing the Small College Basketball shirt. You're looking really sharp this evening as usual.
Let's
Of
go.
course, yeah, nice. And as Chris mentioned at the beginning, this is the very first time we've done this. I think it's going to gain a lot of traction as we go forward. Whether there's 5 people on this call or 100 people on this call, we're recording it so then we can save it, push it out on our YouTube channel, and then push it out social media wise to quite a few other people. So I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this. It's a heck of a way to start off with a coach of your caliber. And the one thing, Chris, I just wanted to add to his bio, I could probably go on for a long time, but somehow it gets slipped through the cracks that he happened to win 3 national championships as the head coach at Emmanuel, the NCCA national championship 3 times. That's not an accident when you win 3 national titles. Congratulations, TJ.
I appreciate it. Thanks, John. Good to see you, buddy. I
Yeah,
played,
good.
hey, but probably my claim to fame is I won a pickleball tournament today.
Did
You know,
you really?
that's yeah. It
Yeah,
wasn't a big one. It wasn't a big one though, but it's all right.
and I spent time in the doctor today looking at my shoulder, and I've scheduled my first surgery on my shoulder from pickleball now.
No,
Scheduled for 2 weeks from tomorrow. I have a torn rotator cuff from pickleball, so that's
no,
my fourth or fifth pickleball injury. But surgery 4 months later, and I'm ready to be back at it.
yeah, don't.
Got to play with TJ Rosene. That's up there with my life goals. All right, you guys take it away. I'm going to be good and quiet.
Yep, TJ, I'm going to kick it over to you. One of the best culture builders in small college basketball, TJ Rosene from Emmanuel College, talking tonight. 5 pillars to leading a successful team. Really excited for this one. So take it away, Coach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, appreciate y'all having me. Love what small college basketball does. I mean, and lucky to have you guys. So just really appreciate all that you do for the game of basketball. Its legacy that you're leaving is going to live well beyond you, which is a testament to how great it is. So I celebrate you for that. Coaches, thanks for coming tonight. Happy to be here. Always love talking hoops. I'm gonna spend a lot of time talking about me or specifically my team because I know when coaches come to these, they just want to learn and grow. Same thing I want to do is how can I get better and what things nuggets can I take away? But I will tell you a little bit of a background how it started, Emmanuel, just so you can understand like why culture became so important to me. When I got here, probably the worst facility in the country, probably as little or as scholarship as anybody could possibly have. It was bad pay. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of reasons that it's not a great place, but it's home for us, and it's been a great place for us for a long time. But it really, in that moment, I recognized how hard it was going to be to build something here. And I knew without special people and a special culture, we weren't going to be able to achieve much. And so that's why it was just burn into me. Like I'm going all in to build a culture here. And we've been really blessed. Won 3 NCCA, National Christian College Championships, played in 6 national championships, won 3 of them. Then NAIA, competition stepped up with the level of teams, and we lost in the national championship game our last year in the NAIA. And then when we moved to D2, it was kind of like, man, are they going to be able to do anything? Because we're a really small D2, and we've had multiple national tournament appearances. Went to the national tournament as our first year as a D2 program, and I sent all that back to our people and to our culture. And so it's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love. But culture is not the only thing. This year we were top 3 in the country in offensive efficiency, and that's after losing the National Player of the Year, a great player. So we actually gained efficiency offensively. Um, this year, and so that's a part of it too. There's a lot of things that go into it, but specifically want to speak to those 5 different pillars. And honestly, this became a journey, as Chris mentioned earlier. Do a podcast, a Hardwood Hustle, and then we also have a company, PGC Basketball, that I've worked for 15 years. And our mission is to be a light in the basketball world. And several years ago, we started a coaching membership thing where we grow coaches and we do lessons over time. But we started from this right here, which has been a kind of a guide for me, is, what's essential to be successful as a coach? Like what do coaches need? And that's where we started. And we spent actually like 2 years on this project of, why do coaches fail and why do coaches succeed? And John's done some great work on this as well, studying the legends of the game. And I've read many of his pieces, to learn a lot about this. And I love learning. I love studying, great coaches and how they got to where they got and what they did and the things that they're using. And one of the things that we came across when we did this is that like any one of these five pillars not going well can be the falling off of your team. And so what happens is a lot of coaches are really strong in one of these five pillars, but if you drop one of them, it could ruin your season. And so these five things are what we landed after 2 years of working on it. And we put them in, you could use different names and I recognize people are successful in a lot of different ways, but in our study and in our learning, these five pillars were crucial, key, and many times non-negotiable in building success. And the thing that we started with was the culture piece because I always say this, my greatest fear in coaching is not losing. It's not doing well. It's really just underachieving. If I have a team that can win 7 games, I want to win seven and maybe a couple more. And if I have a team that can win 15, I want to win 15, maybe a couple more, or 20 and maybe a couple more. And so you're maxing out your team's potential. And that's what I gauge myself on every. Chris, it kicked me out there for a second. You hear? Oh, you're muted right there, Chris.
Yep, we lost you just for a second. I think we got you back now.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. I don't know why it just kicked me out and reloaded here. Um, but I ended up, did you hear me? My greatest fear in coaching is not losing, it's just underachieving. I want to take
Yeah,
a
I think that
team.
was, we ended on underachieving as the last part. Yep.
Okay. All right, good. And so I think it starts from this because if you're going to be true to these five things, you're going to start with your individual why. And so why did you choose coaching? And for me, I try to narrow it down like to four things. One, it gives me purpose. I think Don Meyer talks about maybe just a hole in his heart when he didn't have a team, and the opportunity to impact young people is really central to why I chose to coach. I wanted to have purpose in my life. I wanted to impact people. I wanted to compete, and I wanted the challenge of constantly growing. And so, you could have different whys, but this is where mine started. And then I wanted to define how I would actually win at those things. Like, how would I be successful? And to really have purpose, I need to be on mission. And for me, that's spiritual, but can be for whoever, whatever there is. But for me to be living a life of purpose, I need to be on mission. I need to be clear on what my mission is. And I'm going to impact people through relationships, through mentorship, and to compete and to do it well, there's got to be a high level of accountability. And so that's the thing. When I'm accountable and my players are accountable, we're going to compete at the highest level. So accountability is really big. And then challenge, I just want to be a lifelong learner. And so those four things are things that I'm searching for in my life every day as a leader, and as a coach. And then these are the five things that we started with, that were essential to running a program. And I give you why. And if you think of it like a pyramid and you start down there at the bottom, the base, like a really good culture. And I start with culture because of this is we all know teams that underachieved. And so many times you can go back and had a lot to do with their culture. They might have had the talent, they might have had the pieces, they might have had whatever. And going back to that underachieve or overachieve, bar that we've set, if the culture is strong, you're going to find some teams that overachieve, and therein lies the goal. And if you're going to underachieve, you're going to find some teams with some bad culture. I mean, it's just that's why it's the baseline, and that's why it's the pillar, in the first pillar and the bottom rung of the pyramid. And then the second piece of that is leadership, and we're going to talk about each one of these and how we broke them down. We broke it down to 125 things. So there's five categories. Within these five categories, there's five subcategories. Within those five subcategories, there's five components to each one. And we're not going to go through all those, but I'm just going to give you the gist of where it is. So the second piece of that is leadership. If and really, typically, when you have a good culture, you have good leadership. But your ability to lead as a coach, your staff's ability to lead, and the leaders that you can build within your program. One of the things that I talk about all the time with leadership is that if in my this is I think my 25th year of as a head college coach, and um, if we're just waiting on born leaders, we're probably going to get one about every 4 or 5 years. So after about 30 years in, you're probably going to have four or five, maybe if you're lucky, just natural born leaders. And I'm not willing to put my game up for hope. And so I'm trying to build leaders because I'm not banking on I'm just going to get those natural born leaders. There's just not that many. I mean, I could count on one hand the ones I've had that I'm like, they just came in rocking and rolling, ready to be a leader. And so if I'm gonna have a good year once every 4 or 5 years because I've got some leadership, then that's a long career with a few moments in between. And I'm trying to have more moments than that. And so I want to have great leaders. So I got to have a plan to develop leaders. And that's really hard to do if you can't lead yourself well. And we'll talk about that in a second here. And then the third one is development. Um, you have to be able to develop everybody in your program, from coaches to players to anybody that's around you that's in your care. You have to be able to develop them because when people stop growing, they lose energy, they lose passion, they lose excitement. Like there has to be development going on in your program. We'll talk about those here in a while. And the fourth one, systems and strategies. Like, you can have a great culture and a great leadership, but you can be running some crappy offense and some crappy defense, and your season can fall on that. And so you want to make sure that you're taking care of your systems and strategies as well. Um, and then the last one is kind of icing on the cake is like master teacher, the best I've ever been around. John probably knows this. I was lucky to meet Don Meyer at the end of his life at the NAI National Championship. And he came up to me after watching our team play a few times. I just love watching your team play. And we were able to strike up conversations, get a meal. And he went on to mentor me there for a while, and it was one of the greatest gifts I've ever had in my life because this is a really important quote that a mentor of mine told me. Not Don Meyer, but another mentor said this: there's only one real shortcut in life, and that's great mentorship. I'll say it again. There's only one real shortcut in life, and that's great mentorship. And so I've been fortunate, John Wooden mentored my dad. Don Meyer, Mono Watts, the Dean, I can go on a list of people that have poured into my life. And mentorship makes all the difference in the world because it allows you to avoid things. It allows you to avoid pitfalls. If you're willing to stop, listen, and learn from really good mentors, it's a shortcut because you're going to avoid the downfalls that those other people that don't have mentorship are going to go through. And the older you get, the more you realize how important it is to skip some of those. And the last one, master teaching, is the special ones I've been around. And I just referenced Don Meyer is just like a different way of communicating. I remember going to a Nike coaches clinic in Myrtle Beach one time, and they had everybody. And I won't mention names, but all kinds of big name coaches there. And they were good, and you picked up a little something here, and you picked up a little something there, and then Don Meyer takes the stage, and no one wanted him to quit. He was giving nugget after nugget, learning after learning. Like it was the absolute best clinician that I have ever seen. I've never walked away with so many notes in my life from a coach. And he was a master teacher. Now, there was other guys there that one that talked about, yeah, zone offense. We'll do this and do a little bit of this and do that, but it's really good if you can get five dudes that can score the ball. And recruiting's a piece of it. Don't get me wrong; like that's a part of it. But what if you can't get those guys? Because at Emmanuel, I'll be honest with you, we haven't been able to win a lot of recruiting battles. I mean, it's not a most desirable place. And so I'm having to bank on the culture, the leadership, the development, doing well at systems and strategies, and being a great teacher. Like those are the things that I got to bank on. And if you can bring in unbelievable players, and I've been fortunate to have some good ones, but we don't usually win those in the recruiting battle. Our national player of the year had no scholarship offers. We were his only scholarship offer. We just had two guys that were first team all conference. They had no scholarship offers. And so we really got to lean into the leadership, the culture, and developing those players That's our chance as a small college. That's OKC's chance of developing young people and winning through the draft because they're probably not going to attract big name and high level guys that are in free agency to come there. And so everyone's got to have a plan for that. But those are the five right there. Chris, I'll stop for just a second if you got any questions or somebody wants to ask a question before we dive into how you break down those five and how you become more efficient at them.
Yeah, if there are any questions, anybody can feel free to type them right into the chat and I'll bring them up to you. Right now, we're rolling free, so I'll let you keep going.
Yeah,
Great
and if
stuff.
you anything comes up, just stop me and let me know. Don't feel free to interrupt at any time. All right. So those are the five. So we go through those five. And look, here's the big picture. Here's the 125 things. I'm going to narrow this down, but here's the 125 things you have to think about as a coach. And trust me, look, if you're good at 40 of them, you're ahead of the curve, right? I mean, there's a lot of things here. But really, when we built this list, I wanted to pursue being great as a coach. I wanted to check every box. And there's some things I'm stronger at than others. There's some things that I really need a lot of development in. But these 25 things. So if you were to look at something, let's just go down to leadership right there. You can see the five categories there: lead yourself, lead your staff, lead your players, lead your program, be able to lead parents. That might be different for different people. If you're a college coach, you might be having to lead agents. You might have to be there. You might have to lead handlers. You might have to. There's a lot of different things, but you could change that fifth one to be a lot of different things. But specifically, a lot of us deal with parents at some point, someplace, even if it's just in the recruiting process, or high school coaches deal with them on the regular. And I think probably all of us are dealing with some outside voices more than we probably like, but we got to be prepared for that. And
Coach,
so,
I
you know,
like the direction you're heading in. We just had a good question from Coach Jarrell.
yeah,
As you're talking about this macro system, when you bring in so many new players into a program, how do you prepare them to join your culture? Because
yeah,
there's a lot where you're throwing a lot at us right now, which I understand. So, I think it's
yeah,
a really good question. Well timed.
yeah, yeah. I mean, good. How you doing, man? Good to see you. First off, and then how do you incorporate them into I'm gonna go outside this for just a second. I'm gonna stop and I'll share back in a second. Um, there are two different types of cultures, in my opinion. And let me first define culture. Like, I think culture is a well-functioning family. To think everything's going to be roses is crazy. I got four kids right now. I've got KJ Jones, who is living with me. I got some young lady who's about to go on mission trips, and her parents are gone. She's living with us for 3 weeks. I've got so many people living in my house. I don't even know which way's up right now. But they get to experience our family, and what you would see in our family is that we love each other, we work through stuff, we care for each other. But what you would not see is everything be perfect. And so understanding, like, because I think first have to define culture. Like, that's how I would define it, is a well-functioning family. And sure, when you pull back the curtains, you'll see this doesn't go well and this doesn't go well, but a family knows how to make it through. And so that's how I would define culture. Now, the two different types of cultures that I think you would see throughout your career, and you could probably break this down into more categories, but I'll give you two different types that are typical, and maybe not typical one. The one that we use is what we call a commitment-based culture. All right, because I was going to go this deep on it, but it's a great question, and I want to make it practical. A commitment-based culture. The other culture would be like a top-down culture. Like, here's our five pillars. Here's what you do. Here's what we're going to stand for. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we also live in a generation right now where they want to be in it with you. They want to be a part of the process. They want to contribute. They even want to help build that. And so, in a commitment-based culture, and I can't break the whole thing down for you, but in a commitment-based culture, what we do is we create standards and commitments for the team based on what they believe would be great. And so we have a whole process that we do for a team building activity for that. But let me give you an example. All right. So coaches, I can't see all of y'all, but if you would just play along with me for a second. So just close your eyes and I want you to think about this. So I want you to think of the uh, the greatest player you've ever coached, maybe even played with. Could have been back in your high school days, college days. Just think about the most special player. Think about the most special player that everybody loved playing with. Think about the one everybody wanted on their team, the one they loved seeing at practice, the one they loved seeing after practice. Just think about this special athlete. It could have been the middle linebacker on your football team. It could have been the pitcher on the softball team. It could be any sport you've ever played. Just the greatest athletes. Like you just wish you could coach them forever because they're special. Teachers talk about them. The reporters rave about them, like the people in your community. The fans love this person. The teammates love them. You love coaching them. All right, you've got this person in mind. Now, do me a favor. Think about this person and think about three or four characteristics you would use to define this person. So you guys are the team. I'm the coach. I'm leading you through this. I got a whiteboard in the back. Think about three or four things you would use to define this person. I mean, what are they? I mean, they've got great energy. I don't, whatever it is, think about it. What are the things that you just loved about this person? All right, now open your eyes and imagine me with a whiteboard back here and I'm writing these things down. All right. Tell me, tell me some of those things. Like type them in the chat box or come off mute. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
talk
type
to
them
me.
in the chat if you want to. I can unmute
Yeah.
people. Let me go
Yeah.
ahead and
Go just type them if you get a chance. I would love to know what you would say about this. Chris, what came to mind for you while they're typing them?
honestly, first thing I thought of was like just the joy, the fun.
Yeah,
Three
they're
or four guys
joyful.
at Lincoln Memorial, a couple of guys I coached in high school, like they just love to play, love to
Yeah.
play.
Okay, so what I heard from you right there, I'd be on this whiteboard and I'd write joyful, I'd write passion for the game. Like I hear those two things come out. Energy giver, bro, what's up, man? Leader, gym rat. Okay, and type anything that you want in there. And while you're typing anything you want in there, what I would say to these, what people say all the time is they were tough, they were caring, they had great leadership, they had great energy, all of these things. They're
Consistent,
consistent.
great one, consistent.
Yes, great one, Matt. Consistent, and you could go on and on. And on this good communicator, they're clear and communicate. Love it, absolutely. So we would do the same thing with players. Just write all these things down. And here's what nobody ever says: 4.340, benches 300 pounds. Nobody says that. Puts up 20, walk in bucket. Nobody ever says that. They say the same things you say: consistent, energy giver, leader, joyful. Like they say all of those things. So then we get with the guys and we ask them like all these things. Selfless. I love it, Mike. Yeah, absolutely. So we get to all these things and I ask them this question right here. Look up at this board right now. How many of these things are you capable of being? Not that you are, but how many of these are you capable of being? Because I want to get all the ones off the board that we're not capable of being. And they say, well, I could be selfless. Well, I could be a clear communicator. Well, I could be consistent. I could be joyful. I could be an energy giver. I could do all these things. Oh, okay. All right. So all of these things that I wrote up on the whiteboards, you can be. And you just told me this is the greatest player, the greatest teammate, the greatest you've ever been around. Here's the thing that most people don't understand. All of these things he chose to be or she chose to be, they were choices. They weren't born that way. They were choices. And so here's the thing. I would love to come alongside you and hold you accountable to these things right here of the greatest player and greatest teammate you've ever known. And then I asked them to raise their hand and said, if you would give me permission to do that, put your hand in the air. And if you're not comfortable with giving me permission to do that, don't. Well, obviously, every hand goes up in the air. And coach, I want to be that person. I want to be that person. Then there's our culture right there. There it is. I'm gonna be dogged in my pursuit of holding you to that every day. The minute you're not selfless, I had a player not long ago, John might even remember him, but he's playing pro, been playing pro 7, 8 years, won a championship with him. Came in his second or third practice. I put my arm around him. I said, Elijah, I want you to know, buddy, that I absolutely hate coaching you. And he looked at me like, what do you mean? I said, man, like all those things we talked about in the preseason, like selfless, joyful, like all that, like you are absolutely none of that, my man. Like so inconsistent. Like you are none of that. I do not like coaching you every day. But here's the thing, Elijah, I love you. I really, really, really love you. And I want to see you become those things. But you also have to know this, if you can't become those things, you can't play here. And Elijah, I'm gonna ask you again, can I have permission to hold you to those things? Yeah, coach, you can hold me to those things. Very next two or three plays later, he comes down and there was a loose ball and he kind of just watches it. And one of the things that we talked about was competitive. And I said, Elijah, come here for a second. I'm gonna hold you to it right now, man. You're not being competitive. Right? And then a minute later goes down and somebody kicks him a pass ahead and he gets a dunk and he kind of pokes his chest out a little bit, whatever. I call time. I said, Elijah, come here, sub. I said, Elijah, that guy just threw you a dime. He just gave you a bucket right here. You know what you need to show up as right now? Selfless. Like you need to show up as an energy giver. You need to show up and you need to thank the passer because, one of our great pillars is gratitude. And we really boil all of ours down to two words, gratitude and attitude and attitude of selflessness, attitude of energy giver, attitude of like, and so everything falls into one of those two pillars. But then where the separation comes is the coach's ability to be relentless and holding people to those. But that, Jarrell, that's an example of a commitment-based culture where they have ownership in building out who we're going to be. And they've given me permission to coach them. And if someone was to say, Coach, I don't like this or I don't like that, I'd be like, listen, well, okay, which one does it go back to? It goes back to selfless. You might not like it, but it goes back to something you gave me permission to coach you. Are you withdrawing your permission for me to hold you to being selfless? And if they say yes, we got a problem, right? Like the team committed to this. We got a problem now. You got a problem with me coaching you to be selfless. Okay. And you're going to hit crossroads like that. But that's how we build a commitment based culture versus a top down culture. Does that make sense? Yeah. I didn't mean to get too long-winded on that, but I wanted to make sure it was useful, like something, how we get to that point, and it's deeper how we get to that, but hopefully that gives you a good idea. All right, so I'm going to go
Coach, let me
back.
interject. I want to ask
Yeah,
you one thing. You mentioned with
yeah,
Elijah, you're pulling him aside constantly.
yeah,
A little bit different. Not sure how many high school coaches, how many college coaches we have, but big difference in communication, how we can communicate. How often are you pulling your guys aside to coach, correct, criticize, provide feedback? And how often are you doing it in front of the team? Obviously, a lot of it comes with who the player is, but what's your philosophy? Give us philosophy on that.
yeah. Well, there's always a rhythm to practice, and here's where practice stops. Two things: attitude and effort. Attitude and effort. One of those two. Everything else we play through, we teach, we work through, we go, we let it flow. But the minute there's an attitude problem or an effort problem, we're going to hold people accountable. Because the minute you let them slip, you've heard it before, but like, what you allow is going to get repeated, right? And so you can't allow bad attitudes and you can't allow bad effort. Now, a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. I'm comfortable doing it because I've made my peace with who I want to be as a coach. You know what I mean? My best player is a jerk and they can't change within the first 7 to 10 days, they're done. Right? Like they're done. Like I'm not doing that. And it's always a difficult one. I remember a high school coach, 50 years, he said there's a real simple thing you need to remember. And he tells his team this at the beginning of every year. If you make me make a decision that's between you and the team, you need to know that decision has already been made. It will always be about the team. And so I'll tell a player, listen, I love you, and there's nothing I want more for you than for you to change the trajectory of your life and overcome some of this selfishness you have, some of this, whatever it is that they have. But right now, we're in day 6 of you putting me in the pinch between team and you, and it cannot last much longer. And I just it is what it is, and it's their choice, not mine, whether they want to come out of that or not. But that's my general rule of thumb, Chris, is attitude and effort. We're going to stop it, or I'm going to pull the player out. Anything else, we're just going to coach through and teach.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm gonna keep going here and share this. So I'm gonna break this down. So these are the 125, and obviously that's a lot of stuff. But let me make it a little bit more simple. So like we talked about a minute ago, like those are the five main things, and they're gonna break down into those different categories. And then the culture piece. So let me give you an example. So building the culture, the vision and values, you can do that with a top-down approach. You can do that with your staff approach. You can do that in commitment-based culture way, but you have to get clear on the vision and values for your team. And then the second thing that you have to do in a good culture is you have to create an environment where it can thrive. And so your environment's everything. Like when somebody comes into your gym, into your meetings, like if the pH in the water is not good, then your culture can't grow. No matter all the little things you've done, you could take them out for pizza, you can go bowling, you can have a retreat, you can do all those things. But if the working environment every single day in the weight room, in the gym, in your office or whatever, if it's not a good environment, then your culture is not going to survive and your culture is definitely not going to thrive. And then the third thing is these come from your vision and values, but what are the standards? And man, I could give you so many activities. I know I don't even know how long we're going, but I short on time. But like the standards one, for example, we do an activity where what is the gold standard? So we ask them, hey, who do you impact? You impact, and we go after. I give them the opportunity to choose. This is going back to commitment-based culture. I say, well, who do you represent? Well, we represent ourselves. Okay, well, who else do you represent? Our parents. Who else? Your teammates. Who else? Your school. And you can go on. Who are all the people you represent? Okay. So we get a list of all the people that they represent. Where do you represent yourself? In the classroom, in the weight room, social media, whatever. All of these places where they represent us because they're a part of the team. Okay. What's the gold standard look like? Let's go one by one. We're in the classroom. What is the standard? What is the gold standard? Y'all tell me, what does it look like to be a great student? I think you should sit in the front, coach. Okay. I think you should be on time. Another player might say, well, actually, we probably should be 5 minutes early. Okay. All right. What else should we be? We should probably interact with the teachers, because they're there to teach. Well, all right. What else should we do? All right. We go. And so I'll be like, all right, what's the absolute gold standard of what it looks like to be a great student and the student athletes? And you go in, you're there early, you sit up straight, you sit to the front when you can, you communicate with the teacher, you give the teacher eye contact. Same thing. Okay, if that's the gold standard, what it means to be a great student, why would we give it half of that? Because we have a saying in our program, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And just go check people in your life. I mean, people can't just show up. If they show up really well for something, but a bad in a bunch of other places in their life, it's just a matter of time before they don't show up well in that arena. And so the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And the standard is going to be gold every single time. And so we build standards that way. And then the next piece is accountability. It's really, really non-negotiable for the coach to hold accountability. It's really, really special when your players hold the accountability. Then you know you have a thriving culture. So our goal as coaches, tell our team this every year, is when we get down that second half, last quarter of the season, we would just like to be your friends and your cheerleaders. All right. But until then, we're going to be relentless in holding you accountable. And then we're going to watch you do it and lead everybody else. That's our goal, is to sit back and cheer for them because they understand what it's like to run the team themselves because the accountability becomes so high. And then the last one, man, I could talk about this. I could have just done the whole topic on this one, conflict and adversity. This is the one that I love. This is where your culture, I mean, this is kind of the hill you die on. If you can't handle conflict and adversity, if you push it under the rug, it's going to come back. If you blow up and you get irate, it's going to cause a lot of ripples. If you can't handle conflict and adversity, your culture is going to be in a lot of trouble. And I have a lot of practices that I use for the sake of time. We can come back at the end if you want, like conflict and adversity, a lot of things I do to try and handle this well because I've never coached a successful team that didn't have conflict and adversity. So we have an attitude of welcoming conflict and adversity, knowing that that's going to sharpen us in who we need to be. And so we have a lot of ways that we work through conflict and adversity because we're going to have it in our culture. and I won't go over all of these, but leadership, lead yourself, lead your staff, lead your players, lead your program. Then we get to player development. This one's pretty interesting to me too. A lot of times when we talk about player development, I think player development, to be honest with you, is really watered down and weak across just a lot of places. I think that most people stop at skills. Can you dribble? Can you shoot? Can you pass? And they call that player development. I think you can move on to the next one where I think that reads is, you can have a player, just for basketball terminology, this is the terminology we use. Can you B1? Can you E2? Can you C4? So does your player have the ability to beat one? Can they beat the person in front of them because of a great shot fake, because they put the ball on the deck really quick, first step? What? So can they develop and can you do that? But just because you can beat one, there's a lot of players that fail when they engage a second defender. They charge them, they travel, they throw it away, right? So this was reads. Like if they can't do that, I've had players, some unbelievable talented players that could beat one all day long. But when it got to the E2 part, engage a second defender, they were in trouble. And then when you engage a second defender, do you have the ability to see everybody else on the floor to be able to make high level reads? And we're gauging players in our development. What's their ability to beat one? What's their ability to engage a second defender? And what's their ability to see their teammates and make a good decision after that? So that then your habits, like each team, each one of you coaches on here have specific habits that are important to your team. And are you developing those habits? Mine aren't probably the same as several of you on here, and so all of us have different things that we look at for habits that are important to our team, but are we ingraining those in everything we do? And then there's the physical part of player development that we need to take care of, and probably the most neglected is the mental part of it. And this is the one where I love it when sports are 90% mental and coaches spend 2% of their time on the mental. It doesn't add up. The sports can't be that much mental. Even if it's 50-50, we're still not meeting the 50-50 range of developing players. But there's a lot that goes in to developing the mental of players. Systems and strategies, your team offense, your team defense, your special situation, how you run great practices, and then your in-game coaching. So this is the way we break these five down. And each one of these areas, do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? And these things break down even farther from here because there's more categories under there, but that's just a high level of the five things that you need to be aware of. And then the last one, like I said, is icing on the cake, the ability to become a master teacher. And what we've studied in master teachers, they're master communicators. They have ability to teach. One of my favorite sayings is somebody, I think, Rob, maybe you put clear communication earlier. And there's a big difference between coach talk and teacher talk. Let's go play harder, play like that's coach talk. Great teachers are great communicators that have a great ability to get their message across and to get it heard and understood. And they don't just spurt out words. Yeah, go harder, run back. That's coach talk. The best teachers, they're phenomenal in their communication. They have usually sticky language that they use. They have memorable things that they say. They associate visuals with the mental receptivity of whatever they're trying to teach. I could go on and on about this, but they teach different. They also have the ability to motivate. We talked about the ability to communicate, and they have a special ability to correct players in a way that makes them better. Not a way that gets your point across and says, see, I'm the boss, but a way that gets the point across that says, here's what needs to be fixed or worked on, whether it's a culture thing, whether it's a skill, whatever it is. And I want you to receive it in a way that you're going to take it and actually want to get better at it. And the ability to correct is master teachers are really good about this. They know how to call out the best in people. I can't remember who it was. He was old Suns coach, but um, he had a great saying that I'm not here to call you out. I'm here to call you up. And really, master teachers have a great job of using their correction to call people up versus call them out. Um, yeah, but those I'm gonna stop there. I can go reshare anything that you want, but that is the overview of, so we went from the five key and the 25 things under that, but then there's the five breaking it down from each one of those. For an example, as let me actually share again. Um, let's see here, one second. Um, there. Okay. If I might have went away, but I was going to break down let me see if I can just pull it from here. The PowerPoint, where'd it go? Right here. Here we go. Okay. Can y'all see that again?
Yes.
As I'm going to go over just one of how it would break down from there. So, um, let's go to master teaching. All right, right here, and we talked about being a teacher. All right, and they understand methodology, and whether it's games approach, whether it's whole part whole, what other methodologies they use, they're intentional about their methodology. They understand the audience that they're teaching to. They understand how to prime the learning environment. They understand how to layer the learning, and they understand how to load and unload so players can develop at a faster rate. And I'll give you an example, load and unload. Let's say that you're playing 3-on-3 and you're going to go out there and you're trying to get a team habit across. So every time they catch, they got to put their eyes to the rim. So every time they catch the ball, eyes to the rim. If they don't, it's a turnover because you're trying to build a team habit. Everybody gets that 4 or 5 minutes in and they're not making many mistakes. Well, it's time to load. It's time to make it harder. Many times in the loading part, coaches have a hard time understanding, is this too much or is this too little? But master teachers do a really good job of understanding, okay, they need a heavier load. They need more challenge right now. Or I need to pull back because they're thinking too much and they're not playing fast because I've loaded it too heavy. And so that's an example for one, how we would break down, of the category master teaching down to one of the components of teach down to one of the 5 things that you're going to have to do to be really good at becoming a master teacher. So that's how it would break down from there. I won't go over all those, but there.
Okay, Coach. Question in the chat from Coach Rob Jones. Going back to conflict and adversity, what are some of the activities you would do to welcome those discussions, that conflict, that adversity? How do you welcome that with your program?
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna share this again one time. So if you look at conflict and adversity, all right, the first thing is to anticipate conflict. And so this is one of the first meetings that we do with our team every year. Right before they get the new practice gear, the new shoes, and before everybody thinks they're going to play 40 minutes a game, and before, right, like everything's just rosy. Everybody thinks it's about to be great. And I'll do this activity with them. I'll say, let's go ahead and think of everything that could go wrong this season. Think about all the things that could piss you off, could piss me off. Let's just think about all the wrong things. And we just put a bunch of them out there. And they're like, playing time. Da, da, da. Okay, so I'll just use playing time. Okay, let's build a commitment here, guys. And we'll actually role play this. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, my team thinks I'm corny, but they have a lot of fun doing some of the stuff we do. But we'll get out there, we'll role play, and I'll say, okay, let's get 5 players over here to sit in these chairs right here. You're on the bench right here, and we're in game 12. You thought you were going to play 35 minutes a game, and you've been getting mop-up minutes of 2 to 3 minutes. All right. And we just hit a bucket to go up 72-71 with 30 seconds left. Show me how you're going to respond. All right. So I'm going to count to 3 and I want to see how you're going to respond. Remember, you've only been playing mop up minutes and you thought you were going to play 30. And we'll go there. And so we use it as an example. So they all get up and they get hyped and they go through there and they go like, and I'll say, you know what? If you can actually do that, you have no idea how special of a human being you are. Because most people can't do that. Most people can't handle conflict and adversity like that. Most people can't rise above their circumstances. Most people can't get outside themselves. So we'll make a big to-do about what it's going to look like, and we know it's coming. And then, I'll have those talks with the guy, preseason, and I'll say, listen, it doesn't look like you're going to play a lot. I need to know this. How are you going to show up every day in practice and in games, knowing that you might not get that many minutes? Are you going to be able to still have a great attitude and all that kind of stuff? And they're like, yeah, coach, I'm going to. Well, listen, without fail, a few games in, they're going to struggle. And you revisit that because you've anticipated it. And you say, hey, listen, Will, hey, man, your attitude's struggling, and it's easy to see right now. I got to know, like, are you able to go back to that conversation where you said you could show up this way, even if things don't go your way? Can you still do that? And if they're like, no, I can't do that, that leads to one type of conversation. If they say I can, then you hold them to that. And so that's just the first one, anticipating, conflict. And then I'll go through, the embrace adversity is like, all right, when it comes, can you call a player in and say, listen, dang, Chris, dang, Rob, let's like, I know this sucks for you. I mean, this actually sucks for us right now. Well, let's just have a team meeting. One of the I'll give you an example of the way we embrace it. Open mic Mondays. So we have open mic Mondays where we go into our film room and we say, speak the unthinkable because you care so much about your teammate. And players will say something like, yeah, I remember one time, probably the best one we ever had. It was the year we lost the national championship, but we had a shooter would run the wing, and we had a point guard that was quick, and the guard said, the shooting guard said, "Hey, listen, I feel like I'm open and you're freezing me out," and he didn't like it, and so we said, "All right, listen, here's the rules of Open Mic Monday. You have to speak in truth, love, and transparency. So the minute you don't speak in love, there's a problem. So if you were to go that two guard was to say, yo, Red, I don't think you passed me the ball, man. I think you're freezing me out because you're selfish. Listen, that's not in love. You're not trying to solve a problem. You're just trying to complain. So here's how you speak in love. You say this. I may or may not be wrong by this. I think I can help the team by knocking down that open three in transition, but I feel like you're not kicking it ahead to me. And I'm just curious as to why. Are you seeing something that I'm not seeing? Now you're starting to work towards solving the problem. And the point guard said, hey, man, listen, I think you're open too. Coach had been on me a few times about not taking quick shots. And if I kick it ahead, I know you're going to let it ride. And coach is going to come back to me as the point guard. So they didn't even have a problem with each other. He was trying to do what coach was trying to do, trying to tell him to do. And so we worked through that by being speaking in truth, love, and training, but we embrace it on Mondays where we talk about the things that, and I say this, if you're saying it in the locker room, if you're saying it in the dorm room, or you're saying it in the cafeteria and regarding this team, it better be said in here. Otherwise, you're fake because you don't really care about this team. You're just trying to rally some troops to be sad and angry with you. But like grown men have grown men conversations. So we embrace adversity. And I get another topic. I give my players a commitment statement for me, and I beg them to call me out when I don't live it out. When I commit to these things, when I don't live it out, call me out. Every Monday, tell me, Coach, you didn't live up to what you said. And so that's one way we embrace adversity. And then I have a commitment to myself, which is this is the last one I'll share around conflict and adversity. I have a commitment to myself and to my team to have one hard conversation every day. So I think about what's bothering me the most with a player, the team, whatever it might be, my president, my AD, and I'm committed to having one courageous conversation every day that most people would just go to bed stressed. Like if I thought my AD was mad about something, I'm not going to sit there and worry about it for 10 days. I'm going to walk in his office and I'm going to say, Nate, listen, I'm getting a different vibe from you. I could be totally wrong. Am I doing something that's upsetting to you right now? Rather than send 7 to 10 days worth of stress, right? Those courageous conversation, you feel so much better on the other side. And it's the same thing with the player. We've all walked on eggshells with a player before. And the best thing I've ever found to do is have a courageous conversation. Call them in, say, listen, something's off. You're not happy. I can tell you're moody, whatever it might be. And is there something going on or is there something we need to talk about? And courageous conversations, I think, are a great way to handle conflict and adversity, to get it before it ever gets too bad.
Love that. That is great stuff. Courageous conversation. I need to have more of those at home. See how that
Absolutely.
goes.
Well, careful about those. I mean, that might be the one place I don't advise them.
Any other questions from anybody? This has been tremendous. This has been really good.
Yeah, look, I didn't know how long we wanted to go, but I know what it's like when you tune in to listen. Like you want to get better, you want to get some nuggets, and I don't want to drag it out and draw it out. Like I'm just going to give it to you how it is and help you where you might need help. And those two questions were great. Hopefully, I answer those questions. If I didn't, just reach out and let me know. And we don't have all the problems in the world solved. And this life wouldn't be very much fun without some problems. Like that's what makes us better, and that's what makes our teams better. And just handling adversity. That's just part of what we do. And that's what I love so much about the game of basketball. It's a microcosm of life. The better we get and the better we make our players at handling these hard situations and adversity, the better they're going to do that in life. And so it's a gift to be able to go through these things. With them, it's a gift to struggle with them. It's a gift to be able to help them be a better man for the wife they're going to have, or a better woman, or a better father. It's a gift to be able to do this. And each and every day when you get something hard that comes your way, don't see it any different. It's an opportunity for you to do what you do really well, and that's make an impact in young people's lives. And I think that how you view those things is really important, because if you view them, if they're getting in the way of my team's success, you're going to handle them like that. And you're just going to do whatever is going to be best for the moment, and you're really going to shortchange what is really right in front of you, which is an amazing opportunity.
Coach, can I put your email in the chat for everyone?
Yeah, yep,
If
real simple.
they have questions, something to think of later. So I'll
Yep,
put Coach
absolutely.
Rosene's email in right here. Oops, shoot. Try that again. Can you tell it's my first time going like this?
There you go. Yeah, man,
There
you
we
killed
go.
it, Chris. I could never tell. You killed it.
Now, this is very good. Much appreciated. I think we're all very grateful of your time and being able to do this. Any other questions? Anything anybody wants Coach Rosene to hit on? Mr. McCarthy, anything you want to hear?
I just want to say thank you again. I mentioned that at the beginning, but we didn't know what to expect, whether anybody's going to show up or 50 people are going to show up. But Chris, I'm so glad we had the idea from the beginning about taping this, because then we can push out on the YouTube channel and share it on our social media outlets, et cetera. I got a real good hunch that this is going to get a lot more views as we push it out to people and they can watch on their own time. And TJ, as you normally do, just so many great nuggets. And I think everybody that's on this call can appreciate why you're so good at what you do. Such a terrific coach, because I think you're one of the shining examples. There's a lot of them, but you're really one of the shining examples of using the coaching platform as a force for good, making the difference in the lives of young people. And thank you for sharing so much with the coaches tonight and with all of us. So thank you. It's just a real pleasure.
Hey, you're welcome. And John, thanks for y'all shining that light on so many people. I've been fortunate to meet so many amazing coaches through what you've done. And it really encourages me like that I've been able to meet those. It encourages me that anybody that would take the time 9 o'clock on a Tuesday in the summer to come learn, like I'm like that's unbelievable. I just how much you care about your craft. I know everybody on this call is like you're serious about what you're doing and you want to be good at what you're doing. So I celebrate all you coaches for showing up and being here. And thanks for letting me share with you.
Yeah, really good question, Coach Jarrell. We are going to do this again next month. We're rolling out once in June, so that's tonight. We're going to go once again in July. It'll be the first Monday night in July and the first Monday night in August. So we have two more sessions coming up and hoping to be able to do more going forward on this format, kind of in the off season. During the season, we're going to continue to focus on the players, the programs, and some of the stories. But right now, we want to work the education piece. So we're definitely excited to have you on and have all the coaches on tonight. But Coach Rosene, I guess I'll wrap it and just say thank you for your time. This was incredible. Great way to kick off our new session here for small college basketball.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to today's replay of the Small College Basketball Summer Education Series. The Small College Basketball Podcast will return with Chris Cottrell and John McCarthy on Saturday, January 17th, 2026, with a mid-season recap talking all things small college basketball. We'll also discuss the release of the Bevo Francis Award watch list. But until then, happy holidays, happy new year, and enjoy the basketball. We'll talk soon.